So my name is Sean Gandini. I'm a professional juggler, and with my partner Katula Hokla, we've run Gandini Juggling for over 30 years, performing all over the world, all kinds of shows. And the show that we're talking about this evening is called Heka. Heka is the Egyptian god of magic, and the show is a mixture of juggling and magic. We've done juggling for about 30 years, and in recent times combined it a lot with dance and maybe visual arts. And this is the first time in a long time that we bring magic in. And it's very intriguing because magic and juggling are so similar and yet so different. And it's been a marvelous process of having to re-understand quite, I would say, a radically different art form to ours. More so than, for example, we did a piece that combined juggling and classical ballet, and that felt almost more similar than juggling and magic.
Yeah, and have you opened already in France?
Yeah, we did. We've done 19 shows already. We had a really frantic December. We finished the show, we went on tour, and then we had 10 nights in Paris, right in the center, in a lovely theatre called Théâtre de la Ville. It was kind of joyous, and it was full every night. And we had a lot of kids, and I love chatting to kids because they're the most honest spectators. There's no nonsense for them. If they don't think something's funny, they're not going to politely laugh. But so I would stay always after the show and just chat, and they'd come and some of them would kind of offer me all kinds of stuff for the secrets of the show. So even one of them offered one of his toys. He said, "I'll give you the toy if you can explain how the rings float." But I said
Excellent.
to him that actually sometimes knowing how things works is disappointing. In a way, taking away the mystery is sad. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, will you be coming straight from France to the UK, or have you got other places in
Yeah,
between?
yeah, that's right. We're doing, I think, about 10 shows in France, and then we go straight into the first shows in the UK, which are at the Place in London, which are almost sold out, so it's quite nice.
I noticed that you're in the place because that's a real sort of dance area, and I noticed that
Yeah,
to begin with, a lot of your stuff has overlapped with dance quite a lot. But
yeah. I
this
mean,
new show's different.
this newest show is different, even though I would say it kind of has a dance aesthetic in that it looks like choreographing. And for example, the routines where we look at magic, the initial thought was a famous German magician came to see a show we do, which is maybe our most popular show, a show called Smashed. And he said to me, "I love this show. It's a shame that the ideas wouldn't work with magic." And my brain went, "Oh, no, but they would work with magic." And it was going around. And then a couple of years ago, we went, "Let's finally do this magic thing." So the idea was, what happens if you watch more than one magician at the same time? Because
And how long is the show?
the show's an hour. It's an hour. And it kind of does a journey through questioning what you're seeing. Are you really seeing what you're seeing? Which is what magic does. I mean, magic isn't intrinsically lying to you. And so it kind of plays with that whole thing. How much of this is a lie? Yeah.
And how
Which is
many
kind of,
people do you have in the show?
is 7 people. Yeah.
And
Myself included.
because your line of business, this show, which is juggling and magic, is an unusual combination. How did you manage to find 7 people that could do juggling and magic?
We were lucky. We have 7 very talented people. And actually, magic is, when I was saying to you a moment ago that magic's quite different from juggling, but the skill isn't. That mechanics of practice, both magicians and jugglers love practicing. Like magicians will always have a deck of cards of some coins in their hands and will be fiddling. And jugglers are similar. Like often jugglers, you don't have to stimulate them to practice. They go and practice because they enjoy doing it. So from that point of view, the practicing was easy. The harder thing for us jugglers was the misdirection and the fact that in magic you hide your skill. And we're so used to, in a way, selling our skill or showing it. Our whole business is, look, it's clever. And in magic, you go, the main thing you're saying is not it's clever. You're saying, look, I'm putting this in here and it's gone. And yeah.
And it looks really exciting when the bits I've seen. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's been, yeah, yeah. And we've looked at some really classic things and also some newer ideas. We worked with a couple of very famous magicians. Well, famous is the wrong word. Very knowledgeable magicians. who were very, very helpful in different ways. I grew up in Havana, Cuba, and when I was 5 years old, we had to write essays which said, what would you like to be when you grow up? And being a communist education system, most of the essays were, I want to be an astronaut and help the development of the socialist ideal. And I wrote an essay that I want to grow up to be a clown. And I remember one of the teachers reading it as a kind of funny thing. And in fact, that was one of the great things about social media is I met somebody who was at my school with me and remembered that essay. But as a child, I discovered magic, ironically. And I went from magic to doing visual art to then rediscovering juggling. So I've had a journey. After I left Cuba and I lived in France for a few years, I went to Covent Garden to do shows. And I thought I was going to do magic shows. And I met a juggler. There was just somebody on the side juggling 5 balls. And it was the most mesmerizing thing I had ever seen. I thought, I thought I have to be able to do that. I can't imagine that a human being is able to do that. And it was like this, my whole life just changed
And
instantaneously.
how old were you when that happened?
I was about maybe 16, 17. And then I became terrifyingly unsocial. I just practiced all day. I just, the world didn't exist. I just needed to have these things flying around in patterns in the air. I don't know what, I guess it's an addiction, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's probably better than drugs. Yeah, maybe healthier.
When you mentioned about children coming and offering you things in France, I was worried where we were going with that one. Yeah. No, but when you
Boys,
when you
and
did
cheese,
all
I
this,
said to them that if I told them the secrets, they wouldn't have any cheese for
Yes.
the next few years.
when
Yes.
when you did all this practicing at 16, when was the first time you then got in front of an audience?
So I always, my whole life, I did shows. I've always liked that interacting. But I met my partner, my wife, and the person who I run the company with in Covent Garden when I was doing shows and doing street shows and earning my living quite well from that. And she just retired from rhythmic gymnastics. I'm sure you're familiar with the
I
rhythms.
know it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And I had this thought that maybe there was a different aesthetics to the whole thing. And we met, my wife learned to juggle straight off, and we started going to do some dance classes, and we thought maybe there's a different way of doing this. And then we started doing shows, and then we've never looked back. It wasn't easy at the beginning, 30 years ago, because we were doing things that were quite different. And people, in fact, we were about to revive one of our early pieces, and people were like, what are these people doing? Because we came at it in quite an avant-garde way. Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate in that we've spent 30 years doing exactly what we want to do, which I don't know what percentage of people can say that you do,
Absolutely.
you enjoy doing. And
And some of your shows you've worked with the National Theatre and the opera and so on.
yeah, New York Opera, and yeah, in fact, that's still coming up. And yeah, we're very lucky. You can't complain. Whoever would have
Fantastic.
thought, huh? Doing juggling, throwing things and catching them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Heka, it's a magic and juggling show. It's a very exciting 1 hour. It's unlike anything you've ever seen before. We hardly ever tour the UK, but this year, for 1 month, we're in 12 venues across the UK, and we very, very much hope you can make it.